When Ken Mallow founded Swiss Automation Incorporated in 1965, the one-man operation produced simple screw machine parts made on cam-operated screw machines. These days, parts feature cross-hole drilling and tapping, slot milling, polygon milling, C-axis milling, and eccentric and off-center work. In short, Swiss Automation now produces highly complex, high-precision parts, to the tune of about $28 million in sales in 2011. Of course, he's no longer alone. Swiss Automation employs 172 people and runs 115 machines in 2 locations in the northwest suburban Chicago area. In the past year alone, the company expanded by about 25% when it opened its second location in Cary, Illinois, adding some 56 employees and 26 new machines. In fact, the company has spent an average of $2 million a year on capital equipment purchases since 1998. Ken and a handful of his staff recently agreed to talk with cutting tool engineering editor Alan Richter about the company's growth, its apprenticeship program, and its evolution from a one-man shop.
The machines were much more limited then. There were far fewer tools. We made simpler, more straightforward parts. Now we have parts with how many toolings? 24 tooling stations on a machine. We make parts that look like a piece of Swiss cheese. Before it was little pins and much simpler parts in general.
Sure.
So there's a lot more expertise in what we do now than there was probably back in '65.
How did the business grow?
Well, there's long runs in the commercial parts, shavers and mix masters faded away. Now it got to be more specialized, medical and some more complicated. We make a lot of parts for the valve industry, hydraulic valve industry. The evolution was our first foray out of cam machines was at 84, 85, right around there. And once you saw what a CNC could do, as far as maybe not speed, but as complexity of product, the part. So we capitalized on that. We bought our first one, Morisaki, 2 axes, 12 position turret, 20 horsepower machine back in '84 or so, and then that led to a Swiss type CNC screw machine that we had cam operated. We just built on that, and I had a good relationship with the bankers, and they got behind me, and so right now we're spending sometimes as much as $4.5 million a year on either upgrading or adding equipment.
We make money because we make difficult parts, and there's money in that. But at the same time, the new equipment is very expensive.
It's a very pricey piece of equipment to
Yes,
make.
and you got to have the right kind of parts. You can't make a simple little cheap part on a $500,000 piece of equipment. It doesn't work. So you got to get the right kind of work, but it's also very expensive. I've been in sales a long time. It's very refreshing to work for someone. All Ken wants to do is buy more machines and make more parts. It's probably more the mindset of the company from the top that keeps things going for us. Plus, we have a lot of great employees.
I know you're looking for people who are, mechanically inclined, so not necessarily having the experience with Swiss style machining, or what are you
Well, we have an
looking for?
apprenticeship program.
Okay.
As long as they're mechanically inclined and tinkers and inventors and thinkers. Well, we hired our first few industrial engineers just this last year.
Why was that first?
Quicker thinkers.
Okay.
Get more out of them.
Problem solvers.
Very fast learning curve there.
And one of the things about us too is it's a great example of you don't have to have your college doctorate to make a lot of money and be good at something. Sure. Education is certainly great, and the engineers is probably a reach there, but a lot of our guys here don't have a lot of education, but they're brilliant at what they do.
At the apprenticeship program, what does that involve here?
Well, Mark started in packing and shipping, and he moved to, go ahead, tell me your story.
Yeah, I started back in '94 packing and shipping, and I never knew anything about machining or anything. But I walked in and I'm like, oh, what are these? Machines and stuff, and I right away got impressed and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then the micrometer and all that, I didn't know nothing. So I then I came to Ken, I said, hey, what do these guys make out there on the shop, you know? I didn't know 50,000, 60,000 was, a year. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good money. I said, hey, compared to my, 15, 18,000 a year I was going to get, I'm like, I want that. So right away I started, learning and going to school. I started checking into schools, all the community colleges. Harper College at the time had a program for basic machine shop and all that. So I took those courses and I did basic CNC and then programming CNC. Then training on the floor. I started.
You got promoted to inspection department.
Yeah, I went to inspection and started with them learning how blueprints and stuff. And then I went to secondary, helped them deburr and clean parts. I kind of grew with the business, and then next thing I got on machines, and I did all the labor stuff, all the hard stuff, clean all machines and all, and do barns. And then I started taking the books home and studying, and became a machinist, and just kept on progressing. And then so that's where the opportunity, I started going to school, and Ken was paying for the schooling and stuff. So that's where it kind of started, and then we started offering it to a lot of our new hires and stuff. We want to see you progress and do well, but you have to have the effort to, make the effort to do so. And if you get that good attitude out of the employee to come in, they can do something for themselves. And so we started an apprentice program. We're teaching them everything, give them the opportunity, but they got to make the effort. If they're not making an effort, well, you're going to be where you're at. You're not going to grow. So, but it's, a lot of guys that we've gotten in here over the years, young guys are really energetic and they want to learn. And then the key, if you get the employee working with you, working, in that trust, they will stay here. Like, our longevity here is fantastic. I mean, over the last few years, I think we've lost a couple guys.
A huge part of our success is our training. As we were talking about earlier, Mark's a good example. We try to move our employees around from department to department to give them some information on every different aspect of our company and what it does. Young kids today have very short, fuses on them. They need to keep being challenged. They keep needing to learn. So we try to train them. We move them from different departments. We always give them that knowledge that keeps everything going. And we find that that's exactly what they need to succeed and to get ahead in our company. So we try to put them in inspection, put them in secondary, put them in on the floor for a little while, move them in different buildings. So we go back and forth, material handling. So there's a lot of different things, sorting. If you keep people moving around, you keep them challenged, you keep them interested. And so that's a huge part. Our apprentice program, you ask how long it lasts. There's no set time frame because everybody learns at a different level. But the guys that do well in each department are the guys that do the best on the floor and turn out to be the best operators and then setup guys.
The Tornos equipment, and I actually had visited some years back their factory in Switzerland. And I mean, what attracts you to their line of equipment?
Well, they're more like racehorses. They're speedy and very useful for brass, aluminum, lead alloy, some stainless. But we find that Japanese citizens are more like the Clydesdales, and they're just good workhorses and take the metal off quicker and
Hold up better, probably.
Yeah,
rigid machine.
They all hold size very well. If they don't hold size, we're not interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got German equipment here, we've got Italian equipment, we've got Japanese and Swiss. But it started, Tornos at one time had 100% of the market of Swiss screw machines. That was back in the early 60s. Then Japan started coming in with cam machines that were pretty primitive, but then they made big strides in quality.
And what sort of technologies are you seeing that are making things that are helping with your business growth?
Well, lately they've added axes to B axes. We've got a couple of those, and the bar loaders are improved a little bit better. Faster machine movements to upgraded control. And we like to have the best. We only get about 12 years out of our equipment, and it's still good, useful equipment, but we trade it in for something better and faster.
I see, okay.
Not necessarily cheaper, but better and faster and more bells and whistles.
Well, that's a nice thing. They're always upgrading. They're always improving. Just like tooling and all that. They're constantly up, getting better, different grades, better chip breakers. So everything's always improving. So we have to stay ahead of competition. So you need the best equipment, you need the best tooling to, you know, get good parts.
I always say they have engineers in Germany, Switzerland, Japan, trying to make it better, make improvements. So I like to be on the cutting edge of that. And we're not a used buyer, we buy new equipment, and we find out it pays to have the latest and greatest.
And you're saying, so it's continuing to evolve, there's no
Absolutely.
standstill in
True.
in the
12 years old
technology.
is older, and the new machines are faster. You know, we're really selling two things here, expertise and time. So the new machines that are faster and still make a real good part, you know, now you look at your capture rate per hour to run it, and it's better. Problem is the machine's more expensive, so there's a trade-off there.
Sure.
By buying new equipment, it also flatters the worker out there. He knows he's not working on a beat-up piece of junk that he's getting hammered away at and abused and doesn't have to take care of, so they know a brand new out of the box, they have to take care of it. Keep it maintained and it'll return good parts.
I mean, looking at how the shop is designed, what sort of philosophy do you have for how you lay out the equipment?
Well, maximum use of space and good flow for material coming in and finished product going out the door. Can't zigzag through the place if you can afford not to, you know, just gotta lay it out in those.
Are you seeing that the footprint is becoming more important for the equipment, or is that not so much of an issue here?
Not these days. When this building costs $110 per square foot. We recently bought a used building and it was 20 years old, all air conditioned masonry, $38 a square foot. So then you get a little more room to spread out. Here, well,
Oh,